Imagine Rome in flames. The year is 64 AD. A fire small at first erupts in the merchant district. It quickly grows, becoming an inferno. The fire rages for days, consuming homes, temples, and monuments. As the city burns, the Emperor Nero watches from a safe distance. He is said to have played his fiddle, seemingly unconcerned by the destruction unfolding before him. This is the image etched into history that has come to define Nero. The tale of Nero playing as Rome burned comes to us primarily from three Roman historians: Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio. Tacitus, writing a few decades after the fire, describes Nero's supposed actions with a mix of fascination and disdain. He claims Nero watched the fire from the Tower of Maecenas, singing of the destruction of Troy. Suetonius, writing later, adds details, claiming Nero donned stage costume and played the lyre while Rome burned. It is crucial to note that the fiddle Nero supposedly played is a historical inaccuracy. The fiddle, as we know it, did not exist in ancient Rome. The instrument Nero might have played, if at all, was the lyre, a stringed instrument common in ancient Greece and Rome. This detail, though seemingly small, highlights the way stories can become distorted over time. The image of Nero with a fiddle is more evocative to modern audiences, cementing the myth in the popular imagination. While the image of Nero fiddling while Rome burns persists, historical evidence paints a more complex picture. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD was a catastrophic event that left much of the city in ruins. Popular legend has it that Emperor Nero played his lyre and sang while the city was engulfed in flames, but this is more myth than fact. Tacitus himself acknowledges that Nero rushed back to Rome from his villa in Antium when he heard news of the fire. Contrary to the popular image of a detached and indifferent ruler, Nero was deeply concerned about the disaster unfolding in his capital. He immediately took charge of the situation, demonstrating a level of leadership that is often overlooked in historical accounts. Once back in the city, Nero took action to fight the fire and provide aid to its victims. He organized firefighting efforts, which were rudimentary by modern standards, but crucial in containing the blaze. Nero's involvement in the relief efforts was significant. He personally directed the response teams and ensured that resources were allocated where they were most needed. He opened his gardens to the homeless and organized food supplies. These gardens, usually reserved for the elite, became temporary shelters for those who had lost everything. Nero also arranged for food to be distributed to the displaced citizens, showing a level of compassion and responsibility that is rarely attributed to him. In the aftermath of the fire, Nero oversaw a massive rebuilding project, transforming Rome with wider streets and fireproof buildings. This ambitious reconstruction plan not only aimed to restore the city, but also to make it more resilient against future disasters. The new urban design included wider streets to prevent the rapid spread of fires and the use of fireproof materials in construction. Nero's vision for a safer, more magnificent Rome was realized through these efforts, leaving a lasting legacy that would benefit future generations. To understand why the myth of Nero and the fire persists, we must consider the political climate of his reign. Nero became emperor at the age of 17, a time of great instability in Roman politics. His reign was marked by power struggles, conspiracies, and accusations of cruelty. He had his mother, Agrippina, murdered, and was rumored to have kicked his pregnant wife, Poppaea Sabina, to death. These actions, whether true or embellished by his enemies, painted Nero as a tyrant in the eyes of many. The Great Fire of Rome was a devastating event, leaving thousands homeless and destroying a significant portion of the city. In the wake of such a disaster, it was natural for people to seek explanations and scapegoats. Nero, already viewed with suspicion and fear, became an easy target for blame. Rumors spread that he had started the fire himself to clear land for his grandiose building projects. Adding fuel to the fire, both literally and figuratively, was Nero's persecution of the Christians. Tacitus tells us that Nero blamed the Christians for the fire, using them as scapegoats to deflect blame from himself. This persecution, while brutal, was likely motivated more by political expediency than religious zealotry. By blaming the Christians, a small and unpopular sect at the time, Nero could unite the Roman populace against a common enemy. Section 8, From History to Legend, the Enduring Power of Storytelling. The story of Nero playing the lyre while Rome burned has endured for centuries, becoming ingrained in popular culture. This tale, whether entirely factual or embellished over time, has captured the imagination of countless generations. It serves as a powerful example of how storytelling can transcend the boundaries of time and space, embedding itself into the collective consciousness of humanity. This is due in part to the vivid imagery of the scene and the dramatic irony of a ruler seemingly indifferent to the suffering of his people. The image of Nero serenely strumming his lyre while chaos ensues around him is both haunting and unforgettable. It paints a picture of a leader so detached from reality that he becomes almost a caricature of tyranny and neglect. This stark contrast between the ruler's calm demeanor and the city's turmoil amplifies the story's impact, making it a compelling narrative that resonates deeply with audiences. The myth also taps into timeless themes of power, corruption, and the abuse of authority. These themes are universal, transcending the specific historical context of ancient Rome. They speak to the human condition and the perennial struggles between those in power and the people they govern. Stories like that of Nero remind us of the dangers of unchecked authority and the moral responsibilities that come with leadership. They serve as cautionary tales, warning us of the potential for corruption and the devastating consequences it can have on society. We are drawn to stories of leaders who betray the trust placed in them, and Nero's alleged actions fit this narrative perfectly. The betrayal of trust is a theme that resonates across cultures and eras, making the story of Nero a timeless one. It reflects our collective anxieties about leadership and governance, and our desire for justice and accountability. By examining these stories, we gain insights into our own values and the kind of society we aspire to create. The enduring power of storytelling lies in its ability to connect us to our past, illuminate our present, and inspire our future. Section 9. Nero in Popular Culture from Quo Vadis to Heavy Metal. The myth of Nero and the fire has been depicted countless times in art, literature, and film. This infamous tale has captured the imagination of artists and writers for centuries, becoming a symbol of tyranny and excess. The image of Rome engulfed in flames, with Nero allegedly watching with indifference, has been a powerful narrative tool used to explore themes of power, corruption, and the downfall of civilizations. Henryk Sienkiewicz's novel Quo Vadis and its numerous film adaptations portray Nero as a decadent and cruel tyrant who delights in the suffering of Christians. These portrayals have cemented Nero's image as a villain in popular culture, influencing how subsequent generations perceive him. The novel, set during Nero's reign, vividly depicts the persecution of early Christians, adding a layer of religious martyrdom to Nero's already dark legacy. The image of Nero playing a violin, a modern substitute for the lyre while Rome burns, has become a visual shorthand for callous indifference to human suffering. This scene, though historically inaccurate, has been perpetuated in various forms of media, reinforcing the idea of Nero as a heartless ruler. The enduring power of this image lies in its ability to evoke a sense of outrage and moral condemnation, making it a potent symbol in discussions about leadership and responsibility. Even in popular music, the myth finds resonance, with heavy metal bands like Iron Maiden referencing Nero in their lyrics. The dramatic and often dark themes of heavy metal music provide a fitting backdrop for the story of Nero, whose reign was marked by violence and excess. Bands use historical imagery and references to create a sense of epic storytelling, drawing parallels between ancient tyrants and modern-day issues. This blending of history and music not only entertains but also educates, keeping the legend of Nero alive in contemporary culture. Section 10. Beyond the myth, seeking truth in the shadows of time. While the image of Nero fiddling while Rome burned is deeply ingrained in our collective memory, it is crucial to remember that it is most likely a myth. The historical evidence, even from sources critical of Nero, suggests he took steps to fight the fire and aid its victims. The story of his indifference likely arose from a combination of rumor, political maneuvering, and the enduring power of a good story. Section 11. The importance of critical history, separating fact from fiction. The story of Nero and the Great Fire of Rome serves as a reminder of the importance of critical historical analysis. We must be wary of accepting historical narratives at face value, especially when they confirm our biases or fit neatly into pre-existing narratives. By carefully examining sources, Considering different perspectives and acknowledging the complexity of the past, we can move beyond simplistic myths and gain a more nuanced understanding of history.